Hi everyone, I am back. I am back with this episode of Below Deck. Now, I know I haven't been jumping on the bandwagon with this show. We're probably, well, no, probably not almost done because we're only on Charter 3. But, yeah, I think Charter 3 right through 3 or 4. But kind of just to sum stuff up, which I'll kind of go through when I kind of talk about this episode, is kind of what happened throughout some of the stuff that is relevant. So, first and foremost, I want to talk Captain Kerry. He's actually really impressing me. I did like him in Adventure. I did like him there too, but he's really impressing me. I kind of like seeing, these captains that really step up and really, go over and beyond what their job description is, honestly. Unlike Sandy. But I really do enjoy that. I think he's doing a really good job. So let's kind of go from exterior to interior, and then we'll kind of hopefully we'll be able to wrap up a little bit from that point. But I'll also, just full disclosure, not finished the episode yet, so maybe there'll be something I will include at the end. But we'll just kind of go from that point. So let's start with exterior, and let's just start with the bosun, or who was the bosun, who's no longer the bosun. Jared, that's his name, right? What a hot mess express this guy is. Like, on the one hand, I feel for him, and on the other hand, I'm like, come on, really? Like, he clearly had a drinking problem. You are clearly just going up in your feelings about the fact that, what's his name, Kyle, is kind of catching the attention of Barbie and all of that and whatever. And you're going into her room, invading her space at that, to tell him about some tobacco that's on the deck. Like, you're not picking up a charter the next day. Chances are, if it's still not there the next day, you'll figure it out, or it's been blown away or whatever. So it's not a huge deal, but for whatever reason, he's making it a big deal with this tobacco on the deck. But it's just, sir, calm down, take it down, And for you to be literally heard 2 floors up, waking up the captain when he was already woken up to begin with, you're fucked. You're fucking fucked. And before I get to that though, before I get to how that turns out, and why I say I also feel for him, because clearly he is really struggling with the fact that he isn't able to see his daughter. He isn't able to have a normal relationship with her. And the mother is kind of blocking that from happening. I don't know if he's listening. He probably isn't. But if he is, if you are, Jared, listening, if you haven't already, you have rights as a father. If you need to get your name on her birth certificate, you can do it. All you gotta do is get a DNA test done. You do those things. Of course, that starts with getting legal assistance to help you through that process, because you do have rights as her father, and you should have visitation rights as her father. Now, obviously, her living in Alaska is probably problematic and it's difficult. And clearly, she made that choice to move to Alaska for A, I think she had family there, if I remember correctly, but B, to probably also keep him out of the loop, because I have an issue with her allowing him to have this access to her, but under her terms, under the fact that he clearly is struggling with making sure sometimes he's able to have access to this child, and she not being understanding and being, reasonable through that. I have issues with that. Now, we don't know the full story. Maybe she knows something we don't know. Maybe he's a complete fuck up, which we kind of see. But maybe she sees more and knows more about him than we do, and I totally get it. But at the end of the day, like, he is her father. This child deserves to have their father in their life. And if that means he needs to get the legal help that he needs in order to make sure he gets that where everyone is happy and everyone is comfortable, then he needs to do that. Like, he just needs to. What he doesn't need to do is be working. That's what he doesn't need to be doing. In this type of work that he does, he doesn't need to be working right now. He needs to be focusing on his mental health, and he needs to be focusing on making sure he is a present father in his child's life. So I really appreciated that Kerry really, gave him the chance that he needed to kind of see maybe I can pull through, but clearly not working, and ultimately letting him go because of it. And he handled that very diplomatically, very respectfully. I thought that he handled it completely well. And I think ultimately Jared also handled it very well and kind of says, this is what I needed. So I think this is definitely working for everybody. So great. Moving on to our now new bosun, Ben. I think Ben's going to do a decent job as bosun. We'll see how he goes. But I do want to talk about it just initially, like him stirring the pot with interior. Ben, shut the fuck up and stay in your fucking lane. I think that was pretty established. Not cool. Anyways, him now clearly having a relationship with his now crew member, his now subordinate, is going to be a little bit of an issue, I think. I mean, we've seen it before, but it also not go good in that circumstance either. So I guess we'll see how this goes, but anyway, but I mean, to give him credit, he did sleep with her when he was still a lead deckhand, still in a power position, mind you, but he did technically sleep with her as a lead decky, and now he is a bosun, so, whatever. Great. She's really loud. Anyways, moving on. Not like Camille. Camille seemed to be, anyway. So there's that. So it kind of covers that relationship. Let's kind of just move to her for a second. I really like her. I hope she knows what the fuck she's doing getting involved with this fucking guy. But I really do like her. She seems to be really tough and really strong and not letting anyone like push her around. So I really like that about her. So good on her. So I have really not much else to say because she hasn't been really into any drama. I know there was that one instance where, Ben said something over the radio and pissed her off and all that. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of drama with her right now. I'm sure that's going to change. Who else? Kyle. Not much to say about him. He likes Barbie. There's nothing much to really say about him. He seems fine. Cool. Let's move over to interior. Fraser, my favorite person. I love him very much. And he seems to be doing a really good job so far. I liked how he took the time to see how his crew was going to be before handing out stripes. I think that was a really good move. And honestly, I think Sandy was the perfect person to be the second stew. I think that was a perfect choice. And before we kind of move on to Sandy, I do quickly want to talk about this really fun little friendship that seems to be forming between Fraser and the chef. I can't remember his name right now, guys. I'm sorry. I love their friendship. I didn't also know Fraser spoke this fluently in French. He's like, their little friendship is really blossoming. And I'm just wondering, like, is something gonna happen? Because I've seen like Fraser kisses somebody and I thought it was I can't get the fact that I thought it was a gas out of my head, but I think it was Chefy. And you know what? I'm here for it. But before we kind of move, we're kind of done with Fraser, let me go to Sheffy really quick. Him talking about his marriage and her ghosting him to be with his uncle. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. And I really do like him. I think his food looks amazing. He's doing a lot better than he did the first night. He's doing really good. His food looks incredible. And his story about his dad, and because I believe his dad was a chef too, his story about his dad and how they were going to open their own restaurant in Miami and all that. I really love that. And that touched my heart. I think he's an amazing guy. Keep doing what you're doing. So let's go back over to Sandy. Again, not a lot of drama with Sandy either, but with Sandy, what I love about her is that she's a vampire, she hates the sun, and she hates people. And I said, same. So I really like her. And she seems to be really doing a really good job. And like I said, really deserve to become second stew. So there's that. Let's move on to, okay, let's do Kat first. Oh, Kat. I think she's the next to go. And I think she's going to leave on her own accord. I don't think she's equipped for this right now. She has a lot of clearly childhood trauma that she needs to deal with. But possibly, whatever else she needs to deal with. She has a lot going on mentally. And I really feel for her. She seems to have really gone through a lot. And I wish for her to, get the help that she really needs. And maybe she needs to get off the boat in order to do it. I do love that Fraser is really trying to do his best to make her feel comfortable in this process. And I think Sandy's also kind of taking that on a little bit too now. But there's only so much that these people can give her. And clearly now something is going on between her, well, not between her, but her friend, that she were not privy to. And we don't need to be privy to. It's not our business. But I really do think she's not going to make it much more than what she's doing right now. This might be her last charter. And I think she'll be better for it. And then there's Barbie. Barbie's doing a lot better now than she was initially, but Barbie's attitude, she needed to dial it all the way down. She needed to just talking back to your superior is not the way to go. And obviously he gets flashbacks of Camille going to Captain Sandy and going behind his basically, insubordination. So, he's scared. But I don't know, like Barbie's a rich girl. She's a rich girl. And, you can get by with the old man's money. But, ultimately, it's just not, if you want to work for your own money, then fine, that's great. But she clearly has that mentality of, I had nannies and shit, so that's gonna work for her. But she seems, like I said, to be doing a lot better. She's fighting with Kyle now, and I think that's the same guys. I don't remember. But yeah, I think she's doing a lot better. Her table decor is really good. She's doing a job, so good for her. I think I've pretty much covered all of everybody. Kind of did this, kind of rounding it out a little bit. The one thing I do want to talk about, the one charter guest that we got, which was the last charter guest that we got. What was with the woman who didn't want to have glassware and only wanted to drink out of plastic cups and had to have plastic everything? Is she okay? Does she need something? A Xanax, maybe? Like, what is happening? I was so confused. They were a nightmare, but at least I got a good tip from that, so that's good. So now we have these charter guests. They seem lovely enough. they unfortunately can't seem to remember Fraser's name and they're calling him Franklin or some shit. I don't know, but I haven't quite gotten to that part yet. So, so yeah, we will guess kind of see how that goes, but I'm going to take a tiny break here while I finish watching the episode and then I will finish this up. And so I'm just coming in to finish up Below Deck. But basically, the main thing that we need to talk about here is Kat ends up choosing to leave, which I think honestly was probably the best decision for her. You could tell that she is really struggling and, despite, people kind of telling her that, she's valued here and she is wanted here, she feels alone. And there's really nothing that can really change that. If it's, a lot of her internal struggle is still there, there's nothing that anyone else can say to kind of combat that. But just to kind of add some context, maybe for those who didn't watch the show, basically Kat got like a phone call from her friend Megan, who she kind of does say like her friends are like her family. I think just with what she ended up going through with her foster family, that maybe seems to make sense here, that she would kind of have that closeness with her friends. But this friend of hers, Megan, ends up calling, saying that something has happened. They're freaking out. She can't get in touch with somebody who I guess is a mutual friend between them. Maybe a friend. I don't even know if it's a friend or a family member or what's going on, but we don't have a lot of context with this phone call that Kat got, just because Kat obviously wanted to respect probably her own privacy, Megan's privacy, and whoever this person is, their privacy as well. So she doesn't go into any details as to what is going on. We don't have any information with that. And Kat obviously went into the bathroom as to kind of have privacy. Obviously she's still mic'd, but either she unmiked for this phone call, or at least production respected the privacy and didn't air anything that we shouldn't be privy to. So we don't really have any idea what's kind of going on here, but you can kind of see her spiraling after the fact, just as simply, Zandy kind of trying to, make sure that she's doing things right within Interior. She has a complete meltdown. So after speaking with Fraser, and Fraser talking to Captain Kerry and kind of just deciding that we need to call up a cab here and get her off the boat, let her focus on her own mental health. This is what's needed. And the only unfortunate thing here that I wish like they didn't, which I understand it's human nature, we do this, but the guests are kind of watching her leave. And they were like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? I wonder if she's coming back. Like, I hope she's okay. Which I understand it's human nature to kind of gawk at something when you're like, oh my God, what's going on over there? I've done it. We've all been guilty of doing stuff like this, but it's just kind of unfortunate that this had to happen in front of guests. Guests are watching. Guests aren't respecting her privacy either. So it's just not a great scenario, but it's nothing to her. She got on that boat, she's gone. So that's the only thing that kind of bothered me a little bit. But like Captain Kerry says, like, listen, we might be down a person on deck and we might be down a person in Interior now too, but the guests still deserve to have not 5-star, 7-star service. So they still have to kind of figure this out, because that's the thing. Like, you have Captain Kerry helping out deck, and then you have, which I also want to talk about that in a second too, because I don't think I talked about this in the first little bit. But there's no one really helping out Interior. And you think like it wouldn't be a big deal because there's still 3 of them. It's a big deal because this is a big boat. They need that help. This is why we had Camille, who barely did her fucking job, But yeah, like that's they need 4 people in interior. So this is going to be really interesting. But what I do want to talk about too, before I move on to the last thing that I want to mention and then we'll close this out, the not the docking, but them leaving the dock with only 3 people on deck did a better fucking, okay, let me rephrase, have 3 people on deck, but 1 person has to be on the tender. So they technically have 2 people on deck. With 2 people on deck with them leaving the dock was more flawless than every other single time when Jared was there. I mean, Ben did the shit, man. He did the damn thing. He did an incredible job with this, and it was seamless. It was perfection. And they did that with 2 people on the dock. On the deck. So that's nuts. So good for him with that. And then the other thing I do want to kind of say here, the guests during Mardi Gras night calling Fraser, what do they first call him? Frederick? They called him Frederick at first. And it's like, okay, wrong show. There is a Frederick who, shows up from time to time. If you watch like $1 Million Listing New York, or when you switched over to LAS, when I hear Frederick, I think of him. But yeah, no, his name's not Frederick. And then they call him Fraser, which is better, I guess, than Frederick. But then they call him Fraser. And it was actually one of the women who said, his name's not Frederick, it's Fraser. And I know his name, it's Fraser. And Fraser off away from them. And like, not the galley, but that area at the top of the stairs. And he's like, my name's not fucking Fraser. You don't know my fucking name. It's Fraser, you dumb bitch. Oh man, it's not that hard. Fraser's been on this franchise now. This is the third season we've had him. Like, come on. Like, now we should know his name is Fraser. It's not hard. But anyways, that is it for Below Deck. I'm happy that I'm hopping back on with the show. I love talking about these trash heaps. So yeah, I figure with Those By Now done, I can kind of hop on this and be easy enough to do. But that's basically it, with this. And, because it's a bonus ep, I'm not going to go into all of the outros and all those details on this episode, but the usual. We're on every podcast apps, including YouTube. If you want to go over there, if you want to connect, we have Facebook and Instagram at Reality Tea x2, and TikTok and Twitter and Reddit at Reality Tea x2 pod. I have my email. You can email me, and that is at realitytea2@hotmail.com. And also we have our new website, which I'm not used to saying the name of yet because I only have it on that one outro, but it is going to be in the links nonetheless. But I believe it's realitytea2.podpage.io, I believe. I think that's it. So you can go over there and leave reviews and, episodes. You can listen to the episodes over there as well. And, but yeah, that's basically it for Below Deck. Thanks, guys. Bye.